Very interesting story we're going to share with you now with our very special guests here at the Big Round Table. Aaron Muffaletto, I'm Larry Aarons. First of all, I'm a fan of Tomasita's, and we have the owner and founder here with us today. And it's a great pleasure to meet Georgia Maryol, who is organizer of the event that we're going to tell you about today, and she's owner of Tomasita's restaurant in Santa Fe. I love your place.
Thank you.
Just love it, love it, love it. And Nikki Panagopoulos is with us today, and you're associated with the event as well, because the Greek Orthodox Church is involved.
Yes, we are.
And thanks for coming back. You were here for the Greek Festival.
And we had a great time.
Yeah.
We actually had some of the workers from the Morning Brew come, and we treated them to baklava Sunday. So
Good
Larry,
for you. There you
we took care of your people.
That's what the crew loves you. So therefore, you have a lifetime seat here.
Well, I'm hoping to have a lifetime seat at Tomasita's with
Yeah,
margaritas.
it's not a bad
Let's
thing
work on
either.
that.
And the swirl, get the swirl.
Aaron, this is an interesting story, an anniversary. You want to kind of set the stage here? I can do it for you if you'd like.
Okay, for the coal mine?
Yeah,
or,
the coal mine.
This is something I've never even heard about.
Yeah.
So back years and years ago in New Mexico, there was this huge coal mine disaster, in 1913?
Yeah.
1913. So it's now the 100-year anniversary.
And this is in Dawson, New Mexico. And where is that, by the way?
It's near Raton, and it's really an interesting place because all of the coal mine activity took place in northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. Actually, there was more. Madrid, Cerrillos, other places. There was a lot of coal here. There are a lot of minerals in New Mexico.
Yes.
And most of the coal miners were immigrants. From the majority of the men who died in the coal mine explosion were Italian and Greek, but there's a splattering of it. I even have a list here of how many people there were and who they were.
263 miners died on October 22nd, 1913. And then 10 years later, they had another accident, and 123 miners were lost.
Correct. And I have here, believe it or not, it's hard to imagine how many people these are, but I have a list here, and it would blow your mind to look at this list. There's page after page after page.
Wow.
And I did a count. There are like 129 Italians, 52 Greeks, 30 people from Mexico, and Americans, England, Russia, Austria, France, Slavic, Bohemian, Scottish, Hungarian, and Irish. Wow. And, this is a story about life, beauty, and an incredible disaster. And it is part of our history that has been long forgotten, and this is a good time to remember it, 100 years later.
Unfortunately, I mean, I grew up in northern New Mexico, and I've never even heard about this story. So it seems like something that has not been given enough attention.
But see, one of the reasons, if you look, in 2010, in West Virginia, there was a major disaster.
Yes,
27 coal miners died.
Right.
Well, we had media. We had TV.
Oh, yes.
We didn't even have radios in 1913.
Not even in those days.
And half of the country was illiterate and couldn't read. So, you didn't really know about these things. But now, what we're trying to do is put a human face on all of these people who died in these disasters, and who they were, and what they were about. And they were true, hardworking. They sacrificed a lot. They came halfway around the world. They wanted to support their parents, get a dowry for their sisters, do something for their future. They were such wonderful immigrants. We're all immigrants.
Yes.
And it was a time when there was a hardship in Europe. They were glad they could come here, that they could help their parents, that they could do all the things that they wanted to do. And so it's a really incredible story. And it's a forgotten part of New Mexico history.
It still remains the second worst mining disaster in this country's history.
Yes, correct.
It's amazing. We have some
Yes.
photos from back in the day from the coal mine itself up at Dawson, New Mexico.
We've been
There's
showing some
inside the mine, obviously. And, you know, the mining techniques back in those days are pretty primitive.
It probably was the most dangerous job in the country.
Yeah.
And even today in South America, daily there's a lot of mining going on in South America, and even today, every day there's either a death or an accident where someone
Right.
gets seriously hurt. You know, this is really interesting. Like, also, you know, there were 33 coal miners in Chile.
Right.
In 2010.
And that was a big drama.
That was a big drama because you had the TV sets, you had the families there. There was a human element to it, and those things we saw because of media. But this disaster we did not see. We did not have the media.
We did not, but I wanted to interject real quickly. You know, Aaron, you say, I never heard of Dawson. Not many
Well,
people
not of Dawson, but this.
Yeah.
Well, if Dawson is now a ghost town. It's one of those ghost towns because
Yeah.
in 1950, Dodge Phelps decided they gave everyone a month to get up and leave, even after the mining
And the
accidents.
town is abandoned.
It is
essentially.
the only-
There is no town.
Yeah.
They had an
It's-
opera house. They had a winning football team in the day. They had a newspaper.
Had to have a saloon.
Right, well, of course, in a newspaper.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they, you know, that 1950, everyone left, and you drive up. Usually, we take the Maxwell exit. There's nothing there. The only thing that's open to the public now, it's private property, is the cemetery. And you walk in, and there are lines of white crosses, the minor cross. And
Wow.
it's now on the National Historic Register of Historic Places. It's just an amazing sight. We went up there, and how can you not be touched when you see all these familiar names,
Sure.
when you think of the lives lost? And that's why we're all coming together and doing this event. And I met through Georgia a few months ago. I had never met her, eaten at the restaurant a lot of times, but you know, the owner's too busy, you know. I usually came in Monday nights when you're not there. But the important thing is we've got people, not just Greeks. You know, we had a lot of Greeks there, and that's how our interest came.
Yeah.
We actually have one of the descendants coming in from California, Bob Sexton, who one of his ancestors was killed. A great uncle of his was killed in 1913.
Oh, I'm Italian, so that's amazing to me that 129 Italians died in this accident. So you all are actually having a memorial service to commemorate these lives
Yes.
that were lost.
Several, actually.
So there's going to be more than one event?
Well, you want to tell them about
Well,
the one at St. George first?
St. George on the 20th, that's this Sunday, we will have a memorial service. And then on the 27th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we will have another one. That's Sunday, October the 27th. We'll have another one in Dawson. And we will do a prayer, reading of the names. We will have a Greek Orthodox priest, deacon. We have a deacon from the Catholic Church in Raton. And I'm really excited to have him because he worked in the coal mines for 17 years.
Wow.
So he's a
He
real
has a real affinity for
Yes,
this.
yes. And Reverend Richard Gunry from Santa Fe will also be conducting some prayers.
I think it's wonderful that you organize this.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because when I start talking about it, I hear people telling about, oh, my uncle worked in the coal mines in Colorado, or, my grandfather was born in Dawson.
Oh, really?
And I hear these stories, you know, and
Sure.
I think that, you know, this is just part of New Mexico's forgotten history that needs to be remembered. And I understand the governor will be doing a proclamation on October the
great.
22nd.
And they're having a memorial as well in Raton on the 22nd. And I think the Italian American Club has, and descendants of Dawson miners are having that up there. So there's a lot of activity. I know that the Albuquerque Journal will be running a story this weekend on the event, as well as the New Mexican.
New Mexican, right.
That's wonderful. I think this is very touching, actually.
It really is.
And these
I mean,
men, I think, are probably glad they are being remembered.
well, you know, it's really interesting because when I was looking through the list, this woman compiled this list. She's amazing. she compiled this list in 2001, and she's
Yes.
with the New Mexico Genealogical Society, and her name is Karen Stein Daniel. And I found this list at the archives, and I was absolutely shocked that I didn't have to go looking for names.
That's terrific.
Because they were there. And but it's really interesting, like with how it was in 1913. They had like American, and then they had Negro American
Yes.
written there. And you know, that's how they described people in those days. But we are going to honor these Negro Americans,
Very
Black
well done.
Americans equally to everyone else.